All right, it appears that I might actually be live now. Uh, I think I am some kind of super boomer or something because I didn't know how to use Twitch, and then I couldn't get on here, and I had something set up wrong in the way my Ethernet was configured. Nevertheless, I'm live now, and hopefully I'll be able to get some confirmation of that shortly. And there it is. That's the confirmation I was looking for. So, sorry about that for anybody that was following around via Twitch and then from there to YouTube and waiting a while. So I just wanted to spend a minute today talking about a couple of things that I'm noticing in the market, if I can even make my brain think about that stuff again. Um, let's dig in and hop over to a chart. All right, so we've got Ethereum here, and this is what interests me more than some of the other stuff that's going on right now, because Ethereum is not playing with this Bitcoin move. Because if you look at Bitcoin, yesterday I did a video about that low time frame 1 hour consolidation and how I was interested in the potential up move from it, which we got initially, and now we're having a little micro consolidation where it looks like we may be preparing for a more significant move up. And this all looks good, looks pretty bullish for Bitcoin. Here you can see the really low time frame move. But if you look at Ethereum, it's just kind of screwing around here relative to the dollar. It broke down and it's catching up on the dollar a little bit, but the BTC pair looks like total garbage, acting like it really just does not want to keep up with what Bitcoin's doing. So that relative weakness that we're seeing in Ethereum is super interesting to me. And, it's not just Ethereum. If you go look at some other favorite altcoins, you can see this is just kind of persistent selling pressure from Link on the BTC pair. If you go to BNB, very similar. We're just seeing none of these wanting to participate in the move that we're getting out of Bitcoin. And so the question then, of course, becomes, well, does that make this more or less bullish for Bitcoin itself? Um, and I think you really have to just continue trading the patterns, and the patterns look good on Bitcoin. But there's no guarantee in this because it's giving us some proof early on here that altcoins will continue to follow. And there's a lot of stuff going on with Bitcoin that the narrative is really bullish. So we want to just overall be careful here that if you are bullish on Bitcoin, it doesn't necessarily mean that uh, Ethereum and other altcoins are just going to play around and go along with the show, because Bitcoin has a lot better fundamental bullish narratives right now, and we need to just remember that, because a lot of times we say, oh, if Bitcoin looks bullish, then I'm expecting altcoins to outpace it. I think maybe so. It's easy to forget after a time that there are a lot of times, especially when Bitcoin is really ready to rampage, where altcoins just can't keep up, and even more, they can really look like garbage sometimes. I mean, I gotta take off my picture here to just show how much garbage some of them look like. LTC is breaking lows here. I mean, it had a perfect retest of that broken down low, and it looks ready for price discovery full out. I just hate this look on LTC. So, look at that. There's so much room for downside on something like that, and I just want us to be cautious, because we don't want everything to, or Bitcoin to do great, yet we're overexposed to altcoins. Look at these green candles. If we get this higher high on the weekly Bitcoin, it could really move. I think we're preparing for some real macro stuff happening here um, that has a lot of bullish potential, but you could lose some of those gains if you're overexposed to altcoins. And it's not to say altcoins can't do more, but what we're seeing is them not doing more. I mean, this looks like it's got a magnet to the 200-day moving average on Ethereum, and I'm just not seeing strength in any altcoins. And it might be easy to say, oh, we got an initial move from Bitcoin, I'm going to go jump over, catch some momentum from altcoins, and off we go. Well, what if they just don't? What if they just continue to lag on those BTC pairs while they flounder on the USD pair? Now, this Ethereum USD pair doesn't look bad, like on its own. Maybe that could break up in a vacuum. But relative to what we're seeing in Bitcoin, this continued consolidation rather than completing the breakout back here when Bitcoin started to move up is making us lose a lot of relative value on an altcoin versus what we're getting purely from Bitcoin. So I think my game plan and what I wanted to stream about in Bitcoin versus altcoins is just to highlight, hey, we need to watch these low time frame consolidations, because there is no promise if something like this breaks up again that we're going to have altcoins be able to keep up or outpace what Bitcoin is doing. It doesn't mean you don't necessarily maintain exposure if you see opportune trades, but it means that we need to be cautious about what we're looking for here and where we see the maximum opportunity. And sometimes the maximum opportunity is to hop on that Bitcoin train and ride along and not try to do too much from an altcoin basis. Now, even when those altcoin USD pairs look okay, if their BTC pairs really aren't showing us anything, then you have a USD pair on the alt that looks okay and a BTC USD that looks okay, but the alt to BTC pair looks like crap. Well, you're really reducing your odds of an overall bullish move, because it's the alt's going to lose dollar value if Bitcoin breaks down, and it's going to probably lose Bitcoin relative value if Bitcoin breaks up, while that BTC pair doesn't really have any decent chart pattern to speak of if it's just bleeding off. And because we're not forming any real decent BTC pair chart patterns, it leaves you to knife catching. So that's up to you whether you want to participate in that. But personally, the looks that I liked have started to break down. You know, I was looking at this consolidation. That's the type of consolidation you want. It broke down from it. It broke down from that 20-day. And I actually did try to catch this knife, and I had to rethink it because we're another 2 or 3% down on that Ethereum relative to Bitcoin pair. And you have to consider, okay, well, do I want to wait it out, or do I want to be a little more cautious? And, you know, I start to lean personally to say, if you make me choose, I'd rather keep my Bitcoin relative value and make a more secure, more, high probability trade on the Bitcoin relative pair to increase my Bitcoin, rather than sit there and be annoyed that my altcoin portion of my portfolio is not keeping up with Bitcoin the way that I hoped. So that's just my mentality, the way I'm thinking about this, and also just to confirm from what we saw yesterday that, I mean, Bitcoin is consolidating, marking up, consolidating. And those consolidations can get shorter and shorter. You know, this may break down a little bit and dink around. But we are putting in the legwork for a more significant move, and more significant than we've seen so far. I continue to lean bullish on which direction I think we can go based on, you know, this consolidation. We got that initial break, and now it looks like it's the type of thing that wants to give it another go. I'm going to be watching this daily open in a couple hours, and then, you know, we've seen a lot of movements in these like London opens or Asia opens later at night. All right, that's all I really had. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I was seeing there and kind of how I'm considering this sometimes rapidly changing altcoin relative to Bitcoin relationship. And, I think it's easy sometimes to sit on your hands and think, oh, well, alts will catch up. But if Bitcoin goes on that tear, you could end up losing 3, 5, 10% relative to that Bitcoin pair, even in large cap alts, and then just be sitting there pissed off that you missed the vast majority of the move. So I hope that helps. I hope it makes sense. And I hope that you enjoy your day trading or whatever else you're doing. And thanks for hooking up with me for this video. We will catch you next time.